Welcome to Inspired by Design, the podcast where we explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you rediscover your authentic self and navigate life with less resistance. I'm Katie Rupert, a former hustle and grind overachiever on a thrilling and messy journey. I'd love to share what I'm learning and help others in self-discovery using human design. So, if you're seeking a way to move forward, let me be your weekly mindset coach and share stories to inspire you to action towards your unique purpose without the force or burnout. Today, you are getting Katie full on ADHD mode. I have no clue how this is going to come out, but I have been having this urge to share about ADHD and human design and how that all works together, or just different perspectives. So just like when you look at a rock that's laying on the ground, you were to pick up that rock and look at the backside of it, or look at the 360 view of it, it might look a little different depending on where it's sitting, if you're holding it, which side you're looking at. And that's kind of what I've done with ADHD. So let me just say up front, I am not an expert in ADHD. I'm an experiential brain. I'm a neurotypical spicy brain. I've been diagnosed with ADHD. So that's the extent of it. And because of who I am, maybe the ADHD, maybe because of my human design, maybe both, I have gone down this rabbit hole, read lots of books, felt seen through TikToks and Reels. And I'm curious to know if you are someone that was diagnosed with ADHD in your adult years. Because in the United States, about 15.5 million US adults, that's like 6%, are diagnosed with ADHD. And over half of those received their diagnosis after turning 18. So 1 in 3 of those diagnosed then take a stimulant medication. I am one of those, by the way. Good or bad, I've gone back and forth from I'm never taking medicine to I need this medicine and it makes life a little bit more accessible. That's the current stage that I'm in. And as a global perspective, one last statistic for you, it's about 2.6% of the population altogether has been diagnosed with ADHD. Okay. So take those statistics, leave them. I'm talking from my experience today about ADHD. And I wanted to start with my story. I grew up as a high achiever, someone who didn't look like she had ADHD. In fact, most people would say still to this day, I'm shocked that you have ADHD. They don't see it. And that could be lots of different reasons. One being that I'm a Capricorn rising. I look like I have my stuff together. And little do you know, once you get inside my brain, or you know me really well, you know that is not true. I'm a hot mess. And that's, part of how I help people is let's do it messy, guys. And I also think part of it is being a girl. Women are known to be able to cope, or young women in our society, especially being raised in a conservative, a Christian environment, they are taught certain things about how to behave and how to act and what to say and what not to say, what to do, what to not to do. We get lots of rules growing up, just being in the school system, especially being in churches. It might be the family that you were raised in. But for whatever reason, little girls, instead of bouncing off the walls and being that obvious child with ADHD, with a hyperactivity, a lot of times girls channel that into coping mechanisms like people pleasing, or they are hyperactive mostly in the mind, and then they shame and blame and don't speak up. And sometimes, generally, this is not true of all, boys are just like acting it out. It just makes it a little bit easier to diagnose them. So that's not scientific information. It's just what I know based on, things that I've read and such. But I most definitely put as much effort as needed into being successful in school, with my singing, with my sports. I did everything in my power to be really, really good at anything that I did. I was interested in a lot of things. And thankfully, I have fun with almost everything I do. And so the thing about ADHD, if you're interested, it's not a problem. In fact, you might have a superpower in being able to stay super hyper focused. And me enjoying to learn and enjoying sports and singing and the things that I decided to get involved with, it happened to lend well to hyper focus. And so it looked like I was doing such a good job. So as you fast forward, my first job didn't come until I was in college, and college had so much variety to it, right? I got freedom because I was driving my own car. I got a job and it was something fun that was different every day. I worked at a chiropractor's office and it was very short hours. So I might work on a Tuesday, Thursday, a few hours here and there. And then I get to go meet with my friends or go out to coffee. And then I have my class and it's such interesting things. And I drove myself there. And then I'm adulting. It's so fun. So I had a lot of interest in variety in my life when I was in college. So still not a big deal. When I got married and realized, oh, shoot, like I have to get like big girl money to be able to afford a house and figure things out as an adult, that I'm going to need to get myself a job, at least for a short time. I always was drawn more to like, I don't know, fitness, wellness, working with people, sociology, social work, that sort of thing, volunteering. I loved all of the variety of that and working with people. But in my mind, I just thought I have to get myself a salary in order to get started on this life having a house. So I looked around, ended up taking, I think it was probably the first job I interviewed for. I've got good credentials. Any corporation would be silly not to hire me. I know what I'm doing. I'm smart. I'm fun, so I got this job offer. I started working for this company and you'd sit in a cubicle. Okay. So till now, I had been moving around all of my jobs, standing up, moving, going here and there, meeting people, like just very social and free. And I sit down in this cubicle. It was really interesting during training. Oh, this is fascinating. Oh, this is so good. Conceptually, love this idea. But when it came down to actually working for 8+ hours a day, I found myself going to the bathroom a lot or taking deep breaths, so I had to make calls, and the phone would dial for you. You just clicked on the button. And I just didn't want to do it. It took me like 2 weeks to figure out, okay, I'm good. I'm done with this. And then the pressure started. Then I started doing anything I could, rearranging my cubicle, making cute little posters, motivational quotes. I worked for a training company, so I do training instead of do my work to sell the training. And I did everything I could to keep myself interested because I knew I needed this salary in order to live my big grown-up married life. I remember it wasn't very long. It was within the first year of working there. I was doing well, but I was resisting everything. I didn't want to be part of it. I also knew that I couldn't quit. I'd put all this training and effort in. I wasn't allowing myself to see that this might not be a good fit for me. So I did have this trainer guy, and he pulled me aside for, I don't know, maybe it was like my 90-day review. I can't remember exactly, but I remember him saying like, hey, please don't take offense to this, but I'm just curious. Were you ever diagnosed with a learning disability? I see you struggle, and I notice how you've arranged your cubicle and the walls. And with his background or whatever, he said some of these things that you've done are coping mechanisms for that people teach when they have a learning disability. And so I'm just curious if that's something that I might be able to support you with. And I was like, no. I mean, I had to go to a special reading class when I was in 3rd grade. I don't think I was diagnosed with anything. And it got into my head so deeply that I ended up figuring out like, okay, well, how can I find out if I have a learning disability or a low IQ or anything like that? And so I scheduled myself an appointment and I got tested. And I remember at this appointment, I went through 2 or 3 different tests, like at the computer, and he asked me questions and stuff. And then he said, I have one more test I want you to do after we had been together for like 45 minutes or an hour. And I said, okay. I took this test. It was an excruciating test. I hated this test. And he sat me down after. He said, well, I guess I have some good news for you. Your IQ is actually above normal. There's no diagnosis needed for a learning disability or a low IQ. However, you did score in the extreme range on ADHD. And I was like, ADHD? Like, isn't that for little boys? And he explained to me that the way that I was presenting, everything that I'd shared with him were what a lot of little girls learn to cope with: people pleasing and figuring out how to perform. And they can hide that they have ADHD because it looks like they're just doing a good job. But the effort put in to being average or to doing a good job is, he like, I don't know, he used his hands and he was like, the effort you put in is here. Everyone else is putting about this much effort, but you guys are about equal in results. And it doesn't have to be that hard. And I cried because I felt seen when he explained what this was. And so, of course, I started learning everything I could. I found this book. I don't even know if it's in print anymore, but it's called Women and ADHD. And it's hilarious. I got the hard copy. It was a very thick book. And I did not like to read, never liked to read. I didn't consider myself a good reader, but I devoured this book. And I had little purple Post-its. And I had that thing, so many Post-its. It was like more Post-its than it was no Post-its, because I identified with everything in it. I still recommend that book if someone is adult diagnosed. So I started seeing a counselor and talked a lot about ADHD. I felt so seen. But one other thing that I did was I started identifying as someone with ADHD. It was almost as if for a little while it became an excuse for me, an excuse to let me off the hook for why I got distracted, why I didn't want to do my work. Well, it's just ADHD and I'm going to get through it. And at the end of the day, what I ended up doing pretty quickly, I made this transition from, oh, I can't believe I have this diagnosis, to, okay, now I have knowledge is power and now I can work with it. And I started using some strategies. And I think that probably is what propelled me into being a mindset coach. It's what's made me so good at helping other people do a side business, because for me, being an entrepreneur was like a fun challenge. So it kept me interested. But all of the things that I did naturally coping, normal neurotypical people could use and be like, wow, that's a cool hack. Oh, set a timer. Wouldn't have thought of that. But anyway, very quickly, I transitioned from identifying as this is an issue, this is my problem, and why I can't XYZ, to this is a superpower for me. And I really dug into that for the next, I don't know, 10 years or so. Whenever I got down about having ADHD or something feeling really hard, or I was resisting and procrastinating and being impulsive or buying something that I probably should have thought about or whatever, I started to transition my mindset to, this is my superpower. Sure, I have plenty of things that are not like neurotypical people, but when I work really fast. And if I have the motivation, nothing can stop me. Hyperfocus is amazing. It is amazing. I can clean the whole house where it's spotless and perfect. Now, that only happens once in a while. And I always saw it as like my superpower. I don't get to control it. I don't get to say when it comes on. I just wait for it and I trust that it's always going to come. And when it did, I got the stuff caught up and I did it. But it was always like that. I was waiting for this magical hyperfocus to kick in or my motivation to kick in. And there's nothing I could do because if I found out real quick, if I try to push myself, it would get further and further away. It was like, I have to go and do something else. Then all of a sudden I'll get the motivation for something else. And it was very like mystical, magical to me, but I knew that it worked. And I called it my superpower and reframed how I was thinking about myself. So it was positive. But it's so interesting to me now that I'm aware of human design. There are two, we'll call it three very specific things inside of my human design that can also explain my ADHD diagnosis. Now, hear me when I say I'm diagnosed. I take medication. It supports me at this point in my life. I'm not saying I'm not ADHD. All I'm saying is I felt a lot of validation, freedom, and I was able to relax in my body a little bit more, knowing that my design actually looks like ADHD symptoms a lot. Okay. So with that, I want to kind of transition and tell you how human design helped me work with my ADHD diagnosis and how I was able to turn that rock once again from, oh, it's a problem to, oh, this is my superpower. And then once again, this is like self-empowerment. And I don't have to identify as ADHD. In fact, I don't really talk about it a lot because it doesn't really matter to me anymore. I still go and see my psychiatrist and we check in, but it's really not about my diagnosis and all of my symptom struggle, because working with my design has kind of taken a lot of the load of that. All right. So let's dive in here. And let me also say, I did find a gal. Her name is Karen McGall, and I follow her on Instagram. She is an ADHD coach. All right. I wanted to give her a shout out because she did an episode about being a manifesting generator. I thought that it had a lot of good points in it. And what I loved about what she did is she gave some practical advice based in science that aligns very well with human design. And I thought she did a great job with her 20-30 minute podcast on it. She didn't know a ton about human design, but I thought she did a great job with bringing some of the science. I'm saying all that to say, if you have a diagnosis, and let's say you have a diagnosis and you're not a manifesting generator and you don't have the different things I'm going to talk about in your design, but you have ADHD and you're struggling and you want to know what that's about, of course, I can tell you how to work with your design as a, your fast forward button to navigating life with less resistance, because that's what human design can do for you. And that's how I help people. But if you really are in a struggle place with your ADHD diagnosis, maybe you find someone like Karen McGill, and I think it's McGill. Oh, I should look that up before I record this, but I have ADHD. Just kidding. All right. So I do think that it is very valuable that if you're in that place and you're just learning about it, or maybe you were newly diagnosed, it would be beneficial to learn the science and to understand how your brain works, because our brains are important too, right? But transitioning to human design and how it helps me work with the symptoms, human design is all about the body. It's about body wisdom, the mind-body connection. So we can know all these things, but as far as experiencing and navigating life with less resistance, with more ease, with feeling empowered, there's some cool things. Okay, so I thought about calling this episode like, is it ADHD? But let me just tell you, just from my perspective, okay, we're not going to talk about all the perspectives, but from my design, I have, number one, we'll talk through all of these. One, my energy type. I'm a manifesting generator. That's a multi-passionate person who is meant to do what they love to do to get their energy. And a lot of times they look very non-linear when they're trying to do something. It's not a straight line forward. They are a chaotic squirrel and swirl. All right. The second thing in my design that could also explain some of my ADHD symptoms is my sacral authority. Whenever I feel resistance, it drains me, makes me feel burnt out. Whenever my gut says, heck yes, and I go towards it, I get more energy. All right. So think about that in terms of ADHD. That's like, I want to do that. No, squirrel. Ooh, that looks fun. Okay. The third thing is when you have I have a completely open head center and an undefined Ajna center. Both of those we've got pressure and awareness. The unhealthy, conditioned, undefined centers for the head and the Ajna, they're like a checklist for ADHD. Okay. So we're going to break those down. All right. First, let's talk about manifesting generator. Now, if you're not a manifesting generator, can you be diagnosed with ADHD? Yes. And absolutely. I'm literally just telling you my experience. As a manifesting generator, we're meant to do things that light us up. That generates our energy. Whenever we do things we don't want to do, it burns us out so quickly, it leaves us feeling frustrated. The other big telltale thing about a manifesting generator is that variety is the key to life. They are not meant to do just one thing. If they get bored, their attention needs to go elsewhere. We're always asking, do I want to do this? And if it's no, it's a no. Almost like a toddler. If the toddler wants a cookie, there's nothing they can do but think about that cookie. And ADHD, manifesting generators, they're kind of the same way. When they really want to do something, nothing else matters. And we can't even force ourselves to do it without a lot of frustration. As a manifesting generator, I get to it's a multi-passionate thing. You're doing a lot of things that you're passionate about. You're going to have multiple buckets. And one thing that I did have to learn about that and ADHD is when you're multi-passionate like I am. So this is what I mean. I love to sing. I love to dance. I love to be outside. I love doing this podcast. I love doing Pampered Chef and helping people get dinner on the table faster. I love sharing human design with people. I love learning about it. I love sound healing. I love energy work. I love learning anything in the spiritual world and how it relates to my human experience. I'm obsessed with sociology, psychology, and also birds. And animals. I love puppies. So many interests. Some of them don't feel like they go together. Oh yeah, I also work at the Float Spa Wellness Center. I also teach yoga, and I've had lots of different, jobs that I absolutely love. I love them so much I get certified. I love them so much I go work there. All right, just passionate. As a manifesting generator and as an ADHD diagnosed, I have been told you cannot multitask. It's the worst thing you could do. So at first glance, it looks like, hey, you can't have all these things. But the technicality that works for both is you need to be able to move freely from one thing to the other, knowing the vision, knowing what your end game is, and then not beating yourself up if it doesn't get done exactly how a non-spicy brain person would. It's multi-passionate, not multitasking. So there is a big truth to doing, okay, I just listed out all of my passions. That's like my generator way of knowing where my life force, my energy wants to go, where I'm going to get my energy for the day. I have to look at that list of things and just do and move towards the one that I feel like doing, the one that calls to me, the one that lights me up. And that's how I initiate energy. It's like getting my motor going. It's like preheating the oven. Okay. And it doesn't have to make sense. So it really, really is hard if you're sitting in a cubicle and your body says, I want to take a walk in nature to get my energy today. And then I'm on the clock. I have to sit here and make these calls. So it makes you feel real stuck and burn out quick. So as long as you're not trying to multitask, meaning do two things at once, what you want to do is know, I want to do this and I want to do this and have all these things that you want to do. Move towards the one that you feel like will give you the most energy, that's going to be most satisfying to get done. And then you're going to have energy for the things you don't feel like doing as much. So you got to get the motor going first. This is great ADHD advice. It's great manifesting generator advice. So the other piece of this as a sacral authority, okay? So as a sacral authority, I'm supposed to ask myself yes and no questions. And if it's not a heck yes, then it's a no for now. It could be a no forever, but I can ask myself multiple times a day. I can leave it on the list of things to respond to, but it's really meant for me to ask, do I want to do this? Do I want to wear this? Do I want to eat this? Do I have the energy to do this podcast right now? And go with that answer. Limiting freedom is a big thing here. No ADHDer, no manifesting generator with a sacral authority wants to be boxed in, told what to do, or make it feel like you're stuck or that your freedom's limited. They have to feel free to do it their way. Their way is not what society says. Their way is not prioritizing and doing the hardest thing first. Their way is not doing one thing until it's finished and then going to the next thing. They must have freedom. It's not pick one thing. It's go really fast on the thing that you want, get a lot of energy, and then you can move down the list because there's less resistance. Because we're passionate about a lot of things, sometimes we do have to try it out or try it on before we know if it's for us. So as a generator or as a manifesting generator, if your body's like, yeah, you should try that, and you try it, you also want to maintain the belief that you have permission to quit at any time for any reason. So another thing that I really identified with was, not following through, feeling like, oh, I always like to start things, but I just can't force myself to finish. As a manifesting generator, the answer to that is you're not meant to finish a lot of things. You're meant to get the magic puzzle piece out of that one thing, and you don't need to tie the bow. You move really fast. So you can get what you need out of a event or whatever in a short time. And if that's true, and now you don't want to be there, you're supposed to leave. And with ADHD, this kind of is painted in a negative light. Well, you just got to see it through. Don't be a quitter. Don't give up on yourself. And that's the language of the world. But what if it's really just made for you for a season? It's not really meant to have the packaging, the paper, the bow tie on it. You got what you needed out of it, the energy, the excitement, the information that you wanted. And I see this as an ADHD person. I've spoken in this language of my newest obsession is this. So the Enneagram is a really good example. I studied the Enneagram every minute of every day of free time that I had for at least 5 years. And I know that I made my spouse crazy about it. I mean, I made him take class. I made him talk through it with me. I don't know which number I am. I just want to know what my motivation. I mean, I was obsessed. And then one day, done. It's still interesting, but I feel like, I kind of mastered it. I'm good. It's over. And that is how manifesting generators work. And also, it is one of those things that I hear all the time with ADHD, like, okay, well, you really wanted to do this crafting project. You really wanted to play the violin. You really wanted to do this. And now look at it. It's just sitting collecting dust. Like that is just conditioning. This is something that ADHD kids hear all the time. And then they make that mean that they're bad or that they're shame, and they carry a lot of issues with it. I hope that you find this interesting. There's so much more I want to say. I want to talk about the centers. Now, we haven't gone over in depth of the centers. When you do a human design reading with me, we talk about your centers and which ones are open or white space. There's 9 centers total. The white space is where you receive energy and amplify it, but it's not something you have consistent access to. It's the spaces in our energy where we're prone to feeling like we're not enough. And when an energy center is colored in, you always have access to that, the energy of that. It could be healthy, it could be unhealthy, but generally that's where you want to live in. So like, for example, as a manifesting generator, that means that I definitely have a sacral center that's colored in, and I definitely have a throat center that's colored in. It means I'm supposed to do what I love and talk about what I love and that I love doing. Okay. That is just one example. But when it's open, it's got a little room for curiosity and exploration and amplification. Like I can see in someone else that has a colored in energy center that I don't, I can feel that energy and know that I don't have that like they do. And if you're like a non-sacral or you don't have a throat center, you might feel that way about me, right? Because I do have those things. So there are three centers that I have open that when they work together as open centers, they kind of sound like ADHD. So let's start with the head. The head is a pressure center and undefined. It's like mental energy, it's pressure. You notice the questions around you. You get overwhelmed by mental pressure. What do I actually believe? What do I think? I have anxiety. I have stress, confusion, overwhelm. I want mental clarity, but I feel like so much pressure that I can't think clear at all. It's just this overwhelming pressure to need to know answers. I got to figure out why. And you're searching for inspiration and over consuming. These are things that ADHD diagnoses do. They may struggle with anxiety and overwhelm and just like, I have to take a break. This is too much for me to handle. And I need to figure it out. I just need to know what's wrong with me. I need to figure this out and then I'll feel better. I need to know the answer to this. I need to get this done and then I'll be okay. But we're never okay because mental pressure is always there. And if it's not from one source, it's another. We just keep thinking it's going to get easier. It's going to be better when I figure this out. If you have ADHD, does that sound familiar? Let's move to the Ajna. An Ajna center that's open or undefined is going to be, I need to know for sure. I need to know the right answer. It's black and white thinking at its worst. Okay. They have a fear of not being right. They're very easily distracted because they feel like stress and pressure to like find all the answers before they can be okay or be right. It's very intense. It also causes anxiety trying to figure things out, making things harder. That overthinking thing, huge deal for ADHD. It's like, just let your mind rest, people. And yet, this is also true of the open Ajna and head center. Wanting to know that you're correct, wanting to be certain, not being able to just be like, yeah, maybe, maybe not, open-minded. However, anyone with open Ajna and head, or yeah, they're going to be able to access open-mindedness. But when it comes to ADHD symptoms, they're spot on. You're going to be an overthinker. You're going to be brainy. You're going to think like, I don't know, do I believe this or do I believe that? Or do I believe this? Oh, that's another option. It just feels like you're all over the place, very scattered, very air energy, just in your head so much that you can't make a decision. Indecision is another one of those. And I know ADHD people deal with that as well. Now, there's one more center that kind of plays into it here, and that is an open root center. I have an undefined root center, and the root center is about adrenalized pressure. It's another pressure center. It's like, you must evolve, you must be better, you must do more, you must be more, you must be smarter, think better. And so with my ADHD symptoms, it was always like, I'm not good enough. I don't know how to like do more. I just gotta like, if I just get one more thing done, then maybe I'll relieve the pressure. If I get the dishes done, I'll be able to sleep better. If I vacuum the house, then I'll be able to enjoy the TV show. And then when you sit down to try and relax, you cannot relax. And this is a symptom I thought was ADHD. It's also explained by my open root center, just always pushing me to do more and be more and meet the deadline. And when there's a deadline and then I don't get it done, I'm like, oh, it's like trying to hold a big beach ball underneath the water. And I literally don't have any more capacity to actually think or do anything creative or in a smart way or in a logical way, because all I can do is keep this ball underwater. I have put all of my energy into keeping it below the surface. And then you've got that mental energy coming down. Like, I got to know if I'm doing it right. I'm probably doing it wrong. So it sounds a lot like ADHD to me. And so I say all that, if you identify with it, I would love to have a chat at least, and maybe it's a blend of both, right? And that's why I wanted to mention this gal that's an ADHD coach. I know she's not the only one. I just loved that she did a podcast episode on her show about how I want to make sure this is science-based, but everything that human design suggests, if you're a manifesting generator, it's aligned with what the science says for ADHD people to cope and systems to put into place. That is another thing with an open Ajna or an undefined Ajna. And that just means it's white on your chart. Okay. I know that's human design language. But another thing is borrow systems. Don't force yourself to have to create your own. Borrow some systems, try it on, see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, move on. I just wonder if this resonates with you. Let me just end with how this helped me. All right. First of all, it gave me this overwhelming sense of validation and permission. There was a hot second when I was thinking, well, maybe I'm not supposed to be ADHD at all. But I kind of let that go because as I leaned into showing up as a manifesting generator and really embracing, not just saying ADHD is my superpower and I work really fast when the magic comes, I know now that I can actually work with my energy. I can practically go out and do things that I feel like doing, get a whole bunch of energy and get started, get that motor running. And then all this stuff that I've been resisting for months, like I can get it done in 10 minutes because I know how to work with my energy. I also work with the places where I feel lack, like I'm not good enough. I can't figure this out. I'm overthinking. I'm feeling pressure. I just can say now, oh, well, that's going to be normal for me. So what do I do about that? Well, I'm going to lean on where I do have energy. I'm going to focus on my strengths. I'm going to make sure that I go with my gut. I check in with my gut, not just do the strategic work, but also take it from my head, pass it through my body. That's what human design made a huge difference. And if you haven't listened to my first two episodes, I talk about my human design story. It aligns with this one quite a bit. I talk about cleaning out my closet and that giving me the energy to do what I've been like resisting doing for hours. And I can like hack the system. I can hack the system because I know how to work with my energy. And the biggest piece of this, in my opinion, at least my season of life right now, is that human design has showed me how to build self-trust. This was my number one focus for the year 2025. Trust, self-trust. I started the year thinking it was going to be this like cutesy little thing. Just trust myself more. But now I see every time I notice, hey, this is a heck yes for you. Or on paper, this should be a yes. You like doing it. It makes sense. It's smart. Maybe it makes you money. But if my body says no or no for now, if I can trust that, it has never, ever steered me wrong. Not since I started trying it. And that trusting my gut, knowing that the gift of my design, what I was God given, not having a linear path, working with being multi-passionate and being accepting of people may think that I just do too much or I'm all scattered all over the place, like embracing that as like, yeah, you just watch because this is my way and I trust my way. I know that my gut will never lead me wrong. I know the next right step is my answer. And if I do it wrong, then I just find out what isn't going to work. And I got something from that no matter what. So I have learned self-trust in knowing that my body holds wisdom. I've also started to trust myself that when I start overthinking and I can recognize it, I can say, oh, hey, brain, I see you. I see you overthinking. And you know what? You and the anxiety that I'm experiencing right now and the overwhelm, you're welcome to come on the ride with me. You can be my purse or you can be locked up in the toddler seat in the back. And I need you to know that we trust ourselves now. We don't have to overthink this. And the more I do it, the more I can settle in. And I was at yoga this morning. And I'm getting emotional about to tell you this because I was laying at the end of class And my mind did pop up. And I always tell people in my yoga classes, like, hey, you're not going to stop the thoughts. But what we're practicing here is being gentle with yourself. When those thoughts pop up, acknowledge them. Hey, thanks for the grocery list, mind. I appreciate you. We're also going to remember that after I walk out this door. So I'm just gonna take a deep breath and come right back to this moment. And the more often you do that, the better you get at it. And then you can live in the present moment. You can really enjoy life. It's not about getting somewhere or doing it right. It's about the experience. And I was laying in class and I remember last year, not in 2025, but in 2024, I let go of specific goals, those SMART goals. I was like, this year I'm going to have frilly goals. And one of my actual 2024 goals was learn how to relax. And at the end of the year, I was like, I feel like I experienced relaxing a little bit, but I was laying in class today. Right now it's August of 2025. And I thought, and I could envision what it looked like on that piece of paper from my 2024 calendar, learn how to relax, learn how to just go on a vacation and actually not think about work or not do work. I'm laying there on the floor and I'm like, wow, my body, this is an accomplishment. I've never been able to relax, but at some point, and I don't know when it happened, but sometime in this year, in these last 8 months, I have started consistently experiencing what it feels like to have a regulated nervous system, even if just for a few minutes. I really feel like I can let go and relax. And there's nothing like it. I knew I wanted it. And through excruciating practice, I eventually was able to let go. So I don't know, big win for me. I don't know how much that pertains to ADHD, but I am so grateful for this journey. It didn't start with my ADHD diagnosis, but for the purpose of this today, if I can look back at the person I was at 22 when I got diagnosed to the person I am at 40, who's put in the work of learning what ADHD is and means and going to counseling and figuring it out and being willing to work on myself. That's who I am. That's a part of me. And then when I had access to new information, be it a personality test, the business training I got through Pampered Chef and being an entrepreneur, following my passions and it working out for me and almost surprising me, like, oh, wow, that was a little too easy. Meeting Human Design back in 2023, it became like, wow, my life is really coming together. I love my life. The journey I've been on has been rich. The experience, really fulfilling, not easy. Don't hear me say that this has been an easy path, but I do feel very fortunate, very lucky to have this neurotypical mind or this open centers or this manifesting generator energy to work with. And every single design has something very special to serve you. It's not about, oh, my design is a good one if you have ADHD. But for me, being willing to really get to know myself and to accept the way that I am and not try to compare myself to the world standards. I knew intuitively that I'm not like everyone else. For a while, I made that mean I was not right some way or something off. But right now, I don't feel that way. I wouldn't change how I am or who I am. Yeah, it makes things harder sometimes. Yeah, I feel the need to explain myself when there really is no explaining to do. I just need to do me out loud on purpose, fly that freak flag high. And I know that's the best way for me. So coming into this place where I can trust myself and be able to let go enough to relax in my body and experience moments of just enjoying the journey along the way, right inside the mess, right inside the mud. And this is what I want to do for others. I mean, all these things I've been talking about, they've been for me and they've been really cool experiences. And I want those for you. Like I have chills all over my body just saying it because I know it's not just meant for me. I know that the quote unquote problems that I've had in my life, the challenges, the opportunities, whatever you want to say. I don't, semantics, but I know that I did all this work and it's for a greater purpose. I've always known that I was here to support others, always here to serve others in ways. And I now know I went first. I figured some stuff out. And I'm also aware that my way is probably not your way. Okay. As a manifesting generator, pretty unique. All right. I've also got other things in my chart and it makes me very freaky, very freak flag, unique, quirky, whatever. But because of the experiences that I've had and all this collection of wisdom and just my innate need to dive in and really understand it, I also have this beautiful talent of being able to see things and explain it in a perspective that bridges a gap from, for example, I see myself as a bridge from corporate understanding to this like woo-woo spiritual girl. I'm like this bridge. I see how both play together and how they are both very valuable. And that's why I love teaching yoga for corporate places. And I love teaching human design to teams so they can use it to just influence and support what they're trying to do strategically from their minds. Oh my goodness, it is so powerful when you can bring your mind body connection. So I am so jazzed about being able to see like what's next. And it might be a whole lot of things, but right now it's, working with these corporate companies. So if you have a company that has a wellness program or they do personality trainings or something, like have me on. I want to do that with you guys online or in person. The other thing is I am about to relaunch a updated version with everything I've learned from my 6-week light neuroload journey. I'm going to be launching, call it a master class, and it's just all about kind of what we've been talking about. So a good candidate would be someone that is struggling with a neuro spicy kind of diagnosis, but also someone that really wants to get to know themselves, someone that's overwhelmed. I call it 3 days to less overwhelm, more ease. And really all it's about is me sharing my framework with you of, hey, we identified this as something we want to make not feel as hard. We want to lighten the load. And I'm going to give you my tools, the 3 or 4 things that just make all the difference. And it's all about practice and experiencing. It's not about do it XYZ. It's about, I'm going to show you how to figure out your way and make it custom to you so that there's no cookie cutter way of working with your energy and lightening your load. But there are some really good strategies that I've been able to like universalize and say, all right, so here's what it is. And let's put this on you and tailor that dress to fit your body correctly. So things like human design and feeling really good and balanced in your body. We're all custom. We're not all born with the same body or imbalances. It's things like that I've somehow over my years gotten all this like really doesn't feel like it fits together experiential wisdom and created this beautiful way of pulling it together. So I hope you'll at least tune in to that masterclass. We're going to start the last week of August. The registration form is there. It's free. Okay. You can attend through Zoom. I'll just have a Zoom link. It's about 30-40 minutes usually that I'll teach and give some of my framework and conversation and answer your questions that last day, give you a little taste of what coaching's like with me in group setting. And then you can try on for a week is what Katie has figured out for navigating her life, like with human design, etc. Is that something that calls to me and that I think could be a supportive way to lighten my load? So I hope that you'll join me for that as well. If you're in the St. Louis area, I love teaching human design. I've got 2 big workshops coming up, one on September 4th. I think it's $30 to join. We're going to be talking about the centers. So we talked a little bit about the head and the ajna. So if you want to know like which ones yours are, make sure you register for that, because that lobby at Serenity now only has space for like 12 or 15 people. Make sure you get your spot saved for that. That's on the 4th of September. I think it's Thursday night. And then coming up on November 1st, I am doing a flow by design. So it's a non-heated yoga class. We're going to start with what's your design and what does that mean when it comes to your yoga practice. So if you already are practicing yoga or you're curious about this, would be a really safe space to explore that, because not only are you going to get a big bulk of what I charge for in readings that are at the time of me recording this, about $111. I'm super close to changing that rate. So, don't quote me on that if you're listening to this later, but $111 right now for this reading to know all about your custom design. The workshop I'm doing on November 1st is a yoga class that's usually $22, all right? And then you get a ton of information about your design and how to use it for making your body feel good within a yoga class. So you're getting that all for like, I think she's charging $35. I didn't get to do the rate, but that one has room for 28 people. So you want to sign up for that right away too. It's on the Mind Body app if you have that for detox yoga. Okay. Well, guys, I appreciate you being here. I know this was a bit longer of an episode, but I sure hope that my story inspires you to take some kind of action towards what you know you need to do. And if so, will you tell me? You could email me. You can Instagram me. You can share it in our little Facebook community. And last but not least, I have this Q&A Google form that I created. And literally it's just like, do you want me to know your name? What's your question? I want to know what you're interested in when it comes to human design, what questions you have, even if it's specific to you. Hey, I'm a blank. What would you say about this? I love answering questions. And one of the things, part of my design is that I'm really able to access wisdom when people ask questions. So I wanted that to be a big part of this podcast. So if you haven't ever submitted a question, or even if you have, I hope that you'll submit another one. Y'all, thanks. Even if you don't have ADHD, maybe you know someone that does, and maybe it would just be good for them to hear my story so they can feel seen too. All right. Well, we'll talk to you next time. Have a fabulous week.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired by Design with Katie Rupert. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your takeaways, subscribe, or even leave a review to help others find the show. For more tools and insights, visit my free Facebook group. And until next time, keep embracing exactly who you are and move forward one inspired action at a time.